So this is like a really crazy story I have. And if you guys don't know, there's a lot of content on YouTube. If you just look up like fish tanks or something like that, there's a lot of content on YouTube that literally revolves around them putting plants and just not like, I don't know, just not putting filters and all that stuff, and just letting the plants kind of like feed the fish and all that stuff, which is kind of cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people that like had fish and stuff like that, they literally say they don't believe me at all, or they just don't believe the content itself because, you know, fish die all the time. And it's kind of funny because it's true, right? Like fish do die, like about 25 out of what, like 30 fish that you keep, like they're probably gonna die out of those 25 to 30 fish that you keep in your aquarium. However, I remember a certain scenario where I actually kept a fish tank for about 700 days, and it was kind of crazy. Now, I was in middle school. I wish I had a phone to document this, but it was one of the most craziest things I've ever experienced in my entire life. So let's start in the beginning. So we actually went in this like Facebook deal, and this girl says, you know, we're moving out. We don't want these fish anymore. I will give you, you know, my 29-gallon tank for like what, $10, something like that. And she also gave us like fake plants, a couple rocks, and just like soil. The soil were just like teeny tiny rocks that you could probably buy in a pet store or something like that. They were rainbow like soil. They were kind of rainbowish soil, and she gave us about 3 fish. Okay, so the first fish she gave us were these tiny fish that would literally stick inside the glass, and not inside, but like, you know what I'm saying, they would stick onto the glass and they would feed on a lot of algae. She gave us 2. She told us one was female, the other one was male. I think she gave us 3. I'm not entirely 100% sure, but I remember she giving us 2 of these types of fish. And the other 2 fish, I don't really exactly remember what they were, but I do remember one of them was black, and then the other one was just like a skinny-like creature. I'm not entirely 100% sure. And yeah, I'm not entirely 100% sure, but I remember she gave us about 3 different fish. If I recall, I think she gave us mollies. Yeah, I think that's the one where she gave us about 3 of them. Not entirely 100% sure, but she, like I said, she gave us a whole bunch of, you know, species, I guess. So it's kind of day 1, and we're practically putting this, you know, aquarium, and we're just setting the water and everything, and we're like keeping, you know, these fish that she gave us. Now, she gave us these fish in like a really small clear bag, so obviously they probably didn't have a lot of oxygen. I would probably say maybe 1 or 2 hours for them to live inside these bags. Luckily 35 minutes or 40 minutes, we pretty much like, I don't know, just made the entire aquarium. We put water and everything, and it was still cold. We put the antibacterias and a whole bunch of stuff, and we're like ready to go. So this was like day 1, and it was like nighttime. Around day 2, you know, obviously we put the fish in there. Don't worry, we put them in there right away as soon as we like, you know, got the aquarium, which again, you should not do, by the way. Do not do what we did. We just got really lucky. But anyways, day 2 comes in, and these, you know, fish are swimming. They have a lot of free space, and we go to the pet store. We get some mollies. We get some, just a whole bunch of cool fish. I guess there were like black mollies and white mollies. White or black, I'm not entirely sure, but there were a whole bunch of fish. Okay, and there were also like I don't know how to explain it, but like we got, let's say, 4 or 5 fish, I think with 3 species. One of the species costed $7, and we only got 2 of them. I'm not entirely 100% sure. And these types of species, they were like, I think there was something called fox or something. They were long, but they were like really skinny, snake-like, but they were very small. So they were about, I don't know, this small, not entirely 100% sure. I would say like 2 or 3 inches. And I think that's how big they get. I've not really seen one probably bigger than 3 inches, but we got them, right? So day 2, we put them in there, and we're just like, you know, letting them sit, right? We're letting them sit, and we just we cut the bag, and everything was normal. And here's the crazy part. After this, every single day, like from day 10, 20, 30, 40, every single day, we're just feeding them, right? Until one day we stopped feeding them. Now, I don't remember when that is, but for the sake of it, let's call it day 200 or 300. We did keep them for a while, but we did stop feeding them for a while. I think it was probably maybe like day 50 or something like that. But I do remember we simply just stopped feeding them and everything was like, eh. What's crazy is about 1 or 2 fish died within that 50 days, but it wasn't like a big deal. It was there. And I shouldn't really say we stopped feeding them. I really meant to say we fed them less and less. And it was hitting the winter area, but we did feed them a lot less and less, and we just kind of like forgot that they were there. And from the day on, we discovered that like the water became greener and greener and greener. Now, one of the fish we had was a don't know what it's called, but it's like this big fish. It's not too big. I'd say about 4 inches. But they would have like long, like tentacles, I guess you call them, like whiskers, I guess. I'm gonna call them whiskers. They had like long whiskers, 2 of them exactly. And that fish lived for a very long time, okay? Lived throughout the entire time. But anyways, when we stopped feeding them, I've noticed that like none of them, A, died, and B, most of them survived on algae and other like living things that were growing. And keep in mind, a lot of these things were fake, like fake plants, fake everything. We did not put anything at it. We've also found crazy new life. And the crazy part is these fish were breeding in a way. They were kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but they were just either having babies or just whatever, but they were thriving. Like, I'm not talking about like, I don't know, 1, 2 fish probably surviving. I'm talking about like literally having children, grandchildren, and all that stuff. But they were thriving. For the entire 700 days, we've also found different like microbes and all that stuff. And it was like one of the most craziest things I've ever experienced. It was just a whole bunch of, I don't know, just a whole bunch of stuff. And it was absolutely amazing. The catch is, around day 700, all of a sudden, every single animal died. Of course, it was one by one. But for some reason, a lot of the animals died, even the babies, and all that stuff. But what's crazy is throughout the 700 days, you gotta understand that, like, they were thriving. They were feeding, they were just doing whatever, and they were literally just all over the place. I swear I remember that I found a snail in the tank. It was like a micro baby snail. And I remember like one of the mollies ate it. And keep in mind, we put no snails. And like, they were just thriving. Like these fish were just thriving all over the place. So, I mean, what I learned throughout the entire process is you don't always have to feed your fish 24/7. You should obviously feed your fish. But what I'm saying is if you have a plant-based aquarium and you know what you're doing, I feel like I don't know, the fish kind of can rely more on the aquarium food. I would also recommend just feed the fish no matter what because they're fish, right? Just feed them. But yeah, I do feel like some aquariums, technicality, they don't really require a lot of feedings because they have so much, food. Another thing I also learned is they can make their own ecosystem. Like, even if you put a whole bunch of fake stuff, as long as they have sunlight and everything, and just random stuff will grow inside your aquarium, and they can really make their own ecosystem. Like, nature really does find a way to, like, inhabit everything. And keep in mind, too, like, this aquarium was not overcrowded for a very long time, obviously. They were overcrowded for a little bit, but obviously, because of the small nature of 29 gallons, not too big, not too small, they were like, dying a lot, and there was just a lot of fish. But like most of the time, they were never really overcrowded. I think 10 or 15 fish at a time would, be there and just living life, I guess. But within all of that, like, I've also learned, like, nature really finds a way to balance things and also finds a way to make its own little ecosystem. I absolutely love the idea of keeping fish. I would do it again 100%. But like if I would do it again, I would probably bring like a 200, 300 gallon tank and be like, boom, let's see what it is. And I'll just record it for you guys. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm crazy like that. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Also, sorry for not uploading. I was sick. Bye-bye.